Imagine waking up on a Tuesday morning. Not a Saturday. Not a holiday. A regular Tuesday in October. You open your eyes and wait for the feeling that has followed you for 20 years, that low hum of financial pressure reminding you that today is a workday, that the retirement account needs another contribution, that you are still running the race. But the feeling does not come. Because on this particular Tuesday, a number in your investment account crossed a specific line sometime in the last few months. And from that day forward, you never have to add another dollar to your retirement savings again. Not because you gave up. Not because you got lucky. But because the math finally started working for you instead of against you. That number exists. It has a name. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly what it is, how to calculate yours, and why the financial industry has done everything in its power to make sure you find out about it as late as possible. Most people spend their entire working lives doing something that feels responsible but is actually incomplete. They open a 401k. They contribute every month. They diversify. They stay the course during downturns. They do everything right according to the rulebook they were handed. And yet, when they sit down at 63 to ask the question that should have been the starting point, how much do I actually need, they realize no one ever gave them a specific answer. They were given percentages. Save 15% of your income. They were given timelines. Retire at 67. They were given general directions. But they were never given a number. Not a real one. Not the number that actually ends the game. That is not an oversight. That is a design. The financial industry is not structured to set you free. It is structured to manage your assets for as long as possible. Every year you stay in the workforce and keep contributing, every year you remain in fee-bearing managed funds, the institutions that hold your money earn their percentage. A client who reaches financial independence at 52 is far less profitable than one who keeps contributing until 68. This is not a conspiracy. It is a structural incentive that shapes the advice most people receive without ever realizing it. And the most effective way to perpetuate that system is to keep retirement defined as an age rather than a number. As long as you are waiting for 65 instead of calculating a specific dollar threshold, you will keep contributing, keep paying fees, and keep financing someone else's business model with your working years. Critical mass changes all of that. It is the point at which your investment portfolio generates enough in annual returns that you no longer need to add to it. Your money has crossed the threshold where compounding works harder in a single year than you could ever contribute yourself. The rocket has left the atmosphere. The engine runs on its own momentum. If this is the first time you are hearing this applied to your retirement, subscribe to Money with Maya right now. This channel exists to give you the information that the financial system profits from keeping out of your hands. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because every video here is built around one mission: stopping the system from keeping you broke. Now let us get into the mechanics. The foundation of critical mass is the safe withdrawal rate, which comes from one of the most important pieces of research ever published for individual investors. In 1998, 3 finance professors at Trinity University analyzed historical market returns going back to 1926, through the Great Depression, the stagflation of the 70s, the dot-com crash, every bear market in between. They wanted to know, what withdrawal rate gives a portfolio the highest probability of lasting 30 years or more across every historical cycle? The answer was 4%. A 4% initial withdrawal rate, adjusted annually for inflation, gave portfolios a historically very high survival rate across 30-plus-year retirement windows. This has been studied, challenged, refined, and repeatedly validated for 25 years. It works not because markets always go up, but because a properly diversified portfolio recovers from downturns, and 4% leaves enough intact during those recoveries to sustain the engine. So here's how you calculate your critical mass number. It is almost insultingly simple once someone explains it. Take your expected annual expenses in retirement. Multiply by 25. That is your number. That is the portfolio value at which 4% of your balance equals your annual spending, meaning your investment returns cover your lifestyle entirely. If you expect to spend $40,000 a year, your critical mass is 1 million. $60,000 a year means 1.5 million. $80,000 means 2 million. The math does not care about your age. It only cares about the relationship between your portfolio balance and your annual spending. Let me make this real. Consider a woman I will call Diane. Diane is 44 years old, a project manager earning $85,000 a year. She has been contributing to her 401k since she was 29, gradually increasing from 6 to 12%. She never timed the market. She simply kept her money in a diversified index fund and did not touch it during the crashes. Today Diane has $380,000 in her retirement accounts. Every calculator she has used tells her she is significantly behind. She feels anxious. She considers working longer. But here is the conversation no one has had with Diane. Her expected retirement expenses are $52,000 per year. Her critical mass number is 1,300,000. At a 7% real annual return, the conservative long-run historical average for a diversified equity portfolio, Diane's existing $380,000, with 0 new contributions, reaches her critical mass number in approximately 18 years. Diane is 44. Her money alone gets her there at 62. If she keeps contributing at her current rate, she crosses the threshold at 56. She has been told she is behind. The truth is she is 12 years from the point where she never needs to add another dollar. Subscribe to Money with Maya and save this video, because right now I am going to show you the 3 forces that silently destroy critical mass timelines, and exactly how to neutralize each one before it costs you years you cannot get back. The first force is lifestyle inflation. As income grows, spending tends to grow with it. A raise becomes a nicer car. A promotion becomes a bigger apartment. None of these are inherently wrong, but each one has a precise and calculable cost to your critical mass timeline. If your lifestyle expands so that your expected annual retirement expenses increase from $55,000 to $75,000, your critical mass target jumps by $500,000. At a 7% return, that additional $500,000 represents 8 to 10 additional years of compounding. The lifestyle upgrade adds a decade to your working life. The people who reach critical mass earliest are almost never the highest earners. They are the people who made a conscious decision to cap their lifestyle at a specific level and direct every dollar above that cap toward the portfolio. They drove a paid-off car not because they could not afford a new one, but because they had done the math and decided their time was worth more than the upgrade. The second force is sequence of returns risk. The premise of critical mass assumes your portfolio compounds at a consistent long-run average. In reality, markets deliver wildly variable returns, and the order in which those returns arrive matters enormously. Here is the scenario that breaks the model. Your portfolio hits your target number, you stop contributing, and then in the first year of your autopilot phase the market drops 30%. Your portfolio falls from 1,300,000 to 910,000. You are no longer at critical Massachusetts. Your withdrawals now take a proportionally larger bite from a smaller base. This is exactly what happened to people who approached retirement in 2007. The professional solution is a cash buffer. In the 2 to 3 years before you expect to reach critical mass, set aside 12 to 24 months of living expenses in cash or short-term bonds outside your growth portfolio. If the market drops in the window around your threshold, you live on the buffer while the portfolio recovers. You protect the engine from having to power the machine while it is already damaged. The third force is fee drag, and it is the one the financial industry has most successfully kept out of mainstream retirement conversations. A 1% annual management fee sounds almost irrelevant. But over a 30-year accumulation period, that 1%, compounded across your portfolio's growth, consumes approximately 28% of your final portfolio value. Not 28% of what you contributed, 28% of the total wealth your investments would have generated. If your portfolio would have reached $1,300,000 at near zero fees, the same portfolio at 1% annual fees arrives at approximately $936,364,000 short of critical Massachusetts. Not because you saved less. Not because the market underperformed. Because you paid for management that decades of data consistently shows does not outperform the market after costs. Switching from a 1% fee structure to a low-cost index fund at under 0.1% can represent the difference between reaching critical mass at 54 or 61. 7 years of your life, exchanged for a fee that felt too small to question. The practical steps from here are straightforward. First, calculate your honest annual retirement expenses, include everything, do not underestimate to make the target feel easier. Second, multiply by 25 and write your critical mass number down. This is not a wish. It is a coordinate. Third, take your current portfolio balance and use a compound interest calculator at 7% to find out how long your existing savings take to reach your number with zero additional contributions. Most people are shocked by how close they already are. Fourth, audit your fees, add up every expense ratio and advisory fee you pay annually. If the total exceeds 0.5%, find out why. Fifth, build your buffer. In the 3 to 5 years before you expect to reach critical mass, begin setting aside 1 to 2 years of living expenses in cash outside your growth portfolio. None of these steps require a financial advisor. They require only clarity and honesty about your numbers. The retirement system was not designed with your earliest possible freedom in mind. It was designed around the assumption that you will work until you qualify, for Social Security, for Medicare, for the pension you may or may not have. Every age-based benchmark in mainstream retirement advice is a reflection of system design, not of what is mathematically possible for someone who knows their number. Critical mass is the concept that exists outside that system. It does not care about your birthday. It only cares about one variable: has your portfolio crossed the line where its returns exceed your spending? When the answer is yes, the game changes. Not someday. Not at a predetermined age. At a specific, calculable, completely achievable dollar amount you can name right now. You have been running a race without knowing where the finish line is. Today, you learned how to find it. And once you know where it is, everything about how you run changes. If this video gave you a number when you only had anxiety before, share it with one person today. Leave a comment below with your critical mass number. I read every single comment on this channel. And subscribe to Money with Maya, because this channel exists because someone needs to tell you what they will not. The subscribe button is right there. Hit it. Turn on notifications. And I will see you in the next one.